Hello everyone. This is movie reviews for to the comic book movie zone, and what I want to get started with is the DC animated movies that Bruce Timm and company have been doing since 2007. The first being Superman Doomsday, which was released in 2007, and it's based off the Death of Superman storyline. And in my opinion, it's kind of a lackluster attempt. They could have made the kind of a mini series set of films, like 4 or 5 films, using getting the clones in there and showing the Justice League in action and this and that. It could have been like an epic, which would have obviously showed the showdown of the first fight and the final fight, in the first and then the last movie. But they didn't do that. Instead, they decided to condense it into a 70-minute movie, which can't blame them completely for that because they obviously have bosses they have to listen to. So this is like a shout out to Warner Brothers. Let them have a 90-minute to 2-hour film. What is wrong with that? I mean, there's so many films that they could have done much better if they would have had more time to show more of a story or to get more of the story that they're basing the films off of in there. Anyways, back to the movie. Superman Doomsday, basically what happens is this Doomsday character comes out of the sky and lands itself onto Earth. And he breaks out and automatically, wreaks havoc. And Superman, who's been in a relationship with Lois, obviously there's been time, for them to get together and blah blah blah. Hears about it, goes off, fights him. The battle is awesome. I mean, I got to admit that it was an awesome battle. You got shockwaves and everything else going on. It's just awesome. But he dies. He loses the fight. Doomsday does also die as well, but Superman dies in the process. And what we see is that Lex Luthor, and who I read the book. I don't remember Lex Luthor being in the book at all. At least not as a protagonist in any kind of way. But he steals his body, and he manages to make a clone. And this clone comes out, and it's kind of like, well, Superman's not dead. They had a funeral and everything, but he's not dead. And the clone basically, he believes in justice, but he believes in Lex Luthor's brand of justice, which means that you do whatever you gotta do. And it gets to the point where even Toyman makes an appearance, and he's actually kind of creepy looking. I don't know if he's creepier. I can't really say if he's creepier than the Superman the animated series version of him, but he kind of reminds me of the what's his name? The one that was in Smallville, the Toyman that was in Smallville, because he was an excellent Toyman. But he also looks like Tim Burton. He's meant to look like Tim Burton. Which also Kevin Smith makes a voice cameo remarking about the spider-looking thing that he's writing in because of what the producer John Peters wanted Kevin Smith to write into his version of Superman. It's kind of a little funny moment. I do admit that. But Toyman does something that sends the clone Superman over the edge, and Lois is basically one of the few people that notices that this is not Superman, that this can't be him, because he just kind of goes overboard. Meanwhile, Superman is actually in the Fortress, manages to get himself into the Fortress of Solitude, and is now recovering, because he's been out of the sun for too long, so his body is more mortal than it should be. So he is there recuperating or whatever, trying to regain his strength with a robot. I mean, the robot's voiced by Tom Kennedy, but I don't understand that. I don't remember a robot being in that. I mean, I haven't read the Death of Superman comic since it came out, actually. But, he starts to see the news reports about what this clone Superman's been doing, and he decides to make his presence known. Now, his look when he fights the clone Superman is awesome. I love it. He's got the black curly hair down, the black Superman outfit on. It's an awesome look. I mean, I do like the traditional, red and blue suit and cape, but that was just an awesome way of looking. The animation style is another lackluster thing, because the thing is, it's supposed to be separate from the DCAU, but they've been doing that series for so long that it's kind of hard not to kind of model the characters after that. They changed Lex Luthor up pretty good. Mercy Graves looks completely different also. Many of the characters look really different except for Superman. Superman, all that's changed is that there's a little cheekbone. Aged cheekbone, that's about it. The rest of him looks pretty much the same as his DCAU counterpart, which I don't understand. But the animation style that they give all the other characters is kind of, well, I mean, I'm not gonna say it's bad. I mean, I can't do any better, but I think it could have been done better. I'm gonna name off the voice actors. You can look at the info section for any other characters, but I'm gonna name the main ones. Adam Baldwin plays the voice of Clark Kent and Superman, and he does an okay job. I don't really have much of a problem with him. I think there could have been other voice actors that would have been suited better, but he does good. He does okay. James Marsters plays the voice of Lex Luthor. James Marsters, many people remember him as Spike on Buffy and Angel. He also played Brainiac in Smallville, so that's kind of a cool connection there. And he does an awesome job as Lex Luthor, even though the animation style is terrible. His presence in the film is just terrible. But James Marsters actually does a pretty good job as the voice. John DiMaggio plays the voice of Toyman. I know he plays a character on The Batman. I forget what character that is, but I know he plays a voice character on that. He's only in the film briefly. Swoosie Kurtz plays the voice of Martha Kent. Does an okay job, once again. Cree plays Mercy Graves. Ray Wise plays the voice of Perry White. Adam Wylie plays the voice of Jimmy Olsen. Each of these characters basically have just moments in the film. They're not really in there that long. And Heche is probably the worst choice in the entire film. And Heche is a beautiful woman, and she's a great actress, but she just did a terrible job in this. It just seemed like she just kept yabbering. Just yabbering. And when you're trying to make words out, it's like she's already said so much more that you have to rewind it and listen back. And it's just I guess it's just a chore, basically. It's just a chore. Like I said, the animation is lackluster. The writing could have been done better. I mean, they could have spread it over 4 or 5 films. It's a shame that they didn't do that, but like I said, you have to blame not just them, but you got to blame the company too. They set the ground rules. I got the 2-disc. I got the 1-disc special edition. I don't have the 2-disc. When I bought it outright from when it first came out. The 2-disc came out a year later or whatever, and the biggest special feature on that, I think, is just the DCAU episodes. I don't remember if there's other stuff on it. If there is, I'll probably wind up getting it. But what we have here is we got a documentary called Requiem and Rebirth, Superman Lives, which is a pretty good documentary. I do have to say that. They talk a lot about, Superman, the Doomsday. They also talk about the death of Superman comic book and how things were at that time, and blah, blah. It's kind of a fun little documentary. I would call it more of a featurette because it's not. The documentary is more over an hour. This is not over an hour. Commentary by Bruce Timm, writer Duane Capizzi, voice director Andrea Romano, and executive producer Gregory Novak. Pretty good. It's something to listen to. I really wish they would come back to doing commentaries because I have all but Wonder Woman, and the last couple of films they haven't done commentaries for some reason. The last commentary they did was for Batman Gotham Knight. I don't even think they did a First Flight one because I only got the 1-disc for that. There's an exclusive sneak peek at Justice League New Frontier, which I will be doing soon. Behind the Voice featurette, which is, you get your typical featurette about who's doing the voices and how they came to choose them. Superman, this Last Stand challenge, a waste of space. Really, just a waste. I mean, you get trivia. trivia about the film, I believe, and trivia about the comic. And if you lose, you see Superman die. If you win, then he it's continuing fighting. It's a bore, basically. The film itself was directed by Bruce Timm, Lauren Montgomery, and Brandon Vietti. I believe that's how you say it. So I would say go see it. Because it's not that terrible, but it's definitely not like epic. I mean, not like the Death Superman comic was. I mean, that was an epic thing. This was not epic at all. Shut up. I'm gonna give this rating a 3 out of 5.